And it's the last bit of a really, really heavy lecture day. Sorry, guys. We're going to finish up with mass to mole problems and mass to mass problems. If you've forgotten from before, part of that figure 8 diagram I gave you was from grams to moles. Grams divided by the molar mass will give you moles. Moles multiplied by the molar mass will give you grams. This is pretty much essential for this chapter. Please don't forget it. So a mass to mole problem is really just grams to moles, and a mass to mass problem is grams to grams. Your book doesn't like to phrase it that way, but that's what we're looking for. So suppose I have 28 grams of hydrogen, and I want to know how much oxygen is needed to react completely. Whoops. Needs blank grams of O2. Now, if you remember, our balanced equation from before was 2H2 plus O2 produces 2 waters. So we're still using that guy. But I'm starting with grams of hydrogen. Excuse me, I'm not. This is moles. I'm starting with grams of hydrogen. I'm going to moles of oxygen. So I write down 28 grams of hydrogen. And to go from grams of hydrogen to moles of hydrogen, I'm going to divide by the molar mass of hydrogen. 1 mole of hydrogen weighs 2 grams. That's just estimating to the ones place. All right, that would give me 14 moles of hydrogen. Now I want to know how much water I can make. So I've canceled the grams of hydrogen. I need to go from moles of hydrogen to moles of oxygen. Looking at this balanced equation, since I'm looking for moles of O2, that's on top. 1 mole of O2 divided by 2 moles of H2 will let me cancel the moles of hydrogen, and I'm left with moles of oxygen. Now I have to do is the multiplication and the division. 28 times 1 is 28, divided by 2 is 14. 14 times 1 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And the answer to this question, how much oxygen, in terms of how many moles of oxygen are needed to react completely with 28 grams of hydrogen, is 7 moles of oxygen, according to this equation. The very last one is a mass to mass problem. We're going to practice this a lot, so don't worry too much. I have 18 grams of O2, and I want to know how many grams of water that can make. And I have excess hydrogen. Whenever I have something in excess, it means I don't have to worry about it. I'm just concerned with the oxygen. So start with 18 grams of O2. If you look up here, I need to convert the grams to moles because that's the only way we have to compare oxygen to the water. So I need to convert this to moles of oxygen. So to go from grams of oxygen to moles of oxygen, I need to divide by the molar mass. 1 mole of oxygen weighs 32 grams. Now that I have moles of oxygen, I can compare it to moles of hydrogen from the balanced, moles of water from the balanced equation. I see that I'm going to make 2 moles of water for every 1 mole of oxygen. Now the moles of oxygen have canceled. So at this point, I'd be taking 18, dividing by 32, and multiplying by 2, but I'm not done yet because I'm looking for grams of water. So to go from moles of water to grams of water, I have to multiply by the molar mass of water. That is 18 grams of water in 1 mole of water. Moles of water cancel, And when I work out all the calculations, it comes out to be 20.3 grams of water. Now, there's a really easy way to do this where you don't have to think. We can start with moles of A, or A is what you're given. B is what you are looking for, the desired quantity. And I can set up just a little chart that looks like this. Grams of A to moles of A to moles of B to grams of B. Now, if you go from here to here, you have a mole to mole equation. If you go from here to here, you have a mole to mass equation. If you go from here to here, you have a mass to mole equation. And if you do the whole thing, you have a mass to mass equation. A is always what's given. So to go from grams of A to moles of A, you divide by the molar mass of A. To go from moles of A to moles of B, you take the mole ratio from the balanced equation, moles of B over moles of A. You're going to multiply that. That's from the balanced equation. Lastly, to go from moles of B to grams of B, you are going to multiply by the molar mass of B. So you can jump in anywhere on here. Grams to grams, you can do everything we just did. Where is this? Grams to moles. You start here, you end up there. And we'll be using this little chart a lot. Keep this in mind, highlight it in your notes, highlight this whole section, because you need it.